Damn it, it's the wrong computer screen again. What's up, everybody? As always, we start this show off by showing love to those companies who help make this podcast possible. First is going to be Old Faithful. This company has been with me since the beginning of this show. I absolutely love these people and what they stand for. It just makes me think of my history, my past in this industry with my dad and stuff like that. This brand is what comes to mind, was why I was so happy to be able to work with them. When I think of their name, I think of reliability. As most of you know, I'm a second generation HVAC tech, 20 plus years in the trade, but I always think back to those days working with my dad that I cherish so much. My dad always said your tools are an extension of yourself. If you buy quality tools and take care of them, they will take care of you. Most of the time, you only have to buy them once. Well, that brand that I think back to is Yellow Jacket. They've been making quality products for 70 years and counting, making them right here in the US of A, which means even more than ever nowadays. If you're looking for quality tools that you can depend on and get the job done, look no further than Yellow Jacket. Yellow Jacket has been trusted by my family for generations, and we don't plan on stopping anytime soon. Remember, 70 years of expertise built into every tool. Next, guys, I talk about this every week, and the more that I use this app, the more that I fucking love it. It does so much stuff that I'm not even smart enough or articulate to explain it to you. COMPANYCAM, guys, we all know, I said this last week, I went on vacation, or the week before that, something like that. Anyway, on vacation, taking pictures of my kids, my wife, etc., all that kind of stuff. My wife asked me, hey, do you have that video you took of Sophia, my youngest daughter? Yeah, let me look at my phone. I found it like that. You know why? Because all of those work pictures are not in my gallery. They're not in my photos. They're in COMPANYCAM where they're supposed to be. They're separated. Work is work and home is home. Any picture that I need that's personal, I could find it like that. I don't have those nomenclature, the data plates, furnaces, or whatever it is, clogging up my gallery, making me buy more iCloud space for a bunch of bullshit. And trying to go back and erase all that stuff is a pain in the dick. Well, this takes care of that for you. It neatly categorizes it for you. It puts it in folders based on the customer and the job. Does all the geotagging, the location, the time. It covers your ass. The customer says, oh, well, so-and-so wasn't here Friday at 2 o'clock. He wasn't here until 5:30 that night. Oh, well, I'm sorry, Mrs. Smith. I mean, we have the pictures he took while he was at your house, and, it says, I mean, that's your house, right? At 2:02? Little things like that you don't think about that cover your ass in the long run. And it does so much more. So let me stop running my mouth and read real fast. The only app every HVAC company needs, COMPANYCAM, makes it dead simple to communicate, document, and problem solve with your technicians no matter where you are. COMPANYCAM brings documentation, communication, and liability protection together in one simple, easy to use app for you and your entire team. Take unlimited photos and videos, share custom reports, create flawless before and afters, even communicate and share progress with property owners with galleries and project timelines, all from your smartphone. COMPANYCAM, the only app every HVAC company needs. Check it out at companycam.com / that is a / I was right. HVAC Uncensored. You get 14 days free. Cost you nothing, no credit card number, no nothing. Try it for 14 days. If you don't like it, hey, no harm, no foul. If you do, for being a part of HVAC Uncensored Nation, they will give you 50% off your first 2 months, and it's already pretty cheap, but they'll give you 50% off your first 2 months. All right. Last but not least, let's pay these bills. All right. This sponsor, BLUON, they've been on the podcast. We've done several shows. Absolutely love these people and what they stand for. Everybody over there. They are really changing the game as far as the resources that they're providing for the industry for free. That's what I say. So none of you motherfuckers out there have an excuse when you're like, oh, I don't have the app downloaded because I can't afford it. Well, it's free. It's free. It costs you nothing. All right. So download it. It's a resource to have in your pocket. And I keep looking at the wrong camera. I'm not sure which one I'm looking at. It is free, guys. I'm telling you, have this, the tech support, the manuals, all the other stuff that they're giving out to people. Like, it's a resource that you can't turn down. It's something you should have and everybody should have in their pocket. Okay. Guys, all right. BLUON is one of the newest sponsors of the podcast. BLUON is a perfect sponsor as we are all about the same thing, empowering HVAC techs to be better and have better lives. We all know BLUON for having the best app to get us manuals and info when we need it and having the best tech support out there. Now, BLUON has taken it up a notch, giving you access to the exact part list and part numbers for 300,000 plus model numbers. Then letting you order those parts directly from your local supply house. You guys aren't even going to believe how awesome this is. BLUON has done all the research for your supply house. All you need to do is find the right model number and BLUON takes care of the rest. You can even send requests to suppliers who don't carry the brand you are working on because BLUON gives you that supply house the cross-reference info and options so they can get you 100% compatible part that they carry. I mean, how fucking cool is that? BLUON just keeps raising the bar on how they support techs in the field, and we all know BLUON is 100% free for the techs forever. But what you didn't know is when you order the parts from your local supply house by using BLUON, they get paid a small fee. This is how they can keep giving us all of that free, amazing support. You get to support BLUON by making the choice that only you can make to order parts on BLUON. It will save you tons of time, frustration. You will never get the wrong part again, and you will contribute to the BLUON community, which is here for service techs. A little tongue-tied tonight, but you guys know what I mean. They do all this for free, man. So they're charging all these big corporate conglomerates a small fee to be able to order parts and be part of the database, and it never, you guys, the end user, it doesn't cost you anything. So there is no reason that anybody should not have the BLUON app. Go to your app store, go to BLUON, download the app right now, become a BLUON Pro member, join the amazing community that they have. That's another thing a lot of people don't talk about. All the resources they give, plus the community when you're in the app, is absolutely amazing. It's a bunch of people building each other up. To be honest, it's probably one of the best conglomerates communities that's out there. So go check that out. Anyway, let's get this pledge rocking and rolling. And then I'm still looking at the wrong camera. Get this pledge rocking and rolling. And then get on to this great show that I have for you guys tonight. All right, let's go. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands. One nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. God bless the United States, and thank you to all those men and women who defend it.
Four, three, two, one, go.
Welcome to the #1 rated HVAC podcast. If you're looking to grow in the HVAC industry, then you're in the right spot. Blue collar people talking about blue collar shit. Let's get better together. So turn up the volume, buckle your seatbelt, and let's welcome your host, Gil Cavey Jr.
What is up, everybody? Welcome back to the HVAC Uncensored podcast. I am your host, Gil Cavey Jr. Another episode on a Monday night. Special episode, guys. A great show tonight. If you didn't see my video I put on Instagram earlier, it's funny, and I was just telling the guests this before we started, that most of you know I didn't really have a huge presence when it came to Instagram. I was so busy, doing the podcast stuff, building Facebook, trying to build YouTube and other things. I didn't really think about Instagram. And then when I finally did, it was kind of like that Disney song where it's like a whole new world. Like it really was a whole new world of people that I did not know yet. And I'm so glad that I did it because I've met some amazing people, still meeting them, getting them to come on the show and talk to them. Because there's a lot of people doing some pretty fucking amazing things on Instagram. Setting the bar with their work, which is some of the gentlemen that I've already talked to, and we're going to talk to another one tonight. So, guys, please put your hands together and welcome to the show, Mr. FlynnStone. What's up, buddy?
What's up, man? How you doing?
Good, man. Thank you. Like I said, thanks for coming on. I appreciate you guys. I know you're working all day and then come on and talk to me. It's like,
Yeah, man, absolutely. My pleasure.
Yeah, so it's so you actually well, I guess before I get into those questions, I guess I always like to start off if you want to, if God forbid people aren't Instagram and they don't know who, Mike, Flynn is, let them know a little bit about you, bro.
All right, so I am 14 years in the trade. I did service before I did install, but now I'm an install, HVAC, boilers, whatever they throw at me, I'm doing. Yeah, that's raising the bar, like you said, trying to promote that, clean work and pride in one's work, and yeah, taking it day by day.
That's awesome, man. I mean, it's Instagram, isn't that how you met Jeff? Like, didn't you guys meet through
Yes.
Instagram?
Yep. So he had I've been on posting work since like 2015. And he came on, I think 2 years ago now, something like that. And, we became friendly. He asked me if I wanted to go to the company that he worked for. And I was like, let's give it a go.
It seems like a pretty awesome company. Just talking to Jeff and hearing different things, like they kind of give you guys the freedom. Like they know you're doing high class work, so they give you the freedom to do what the hell you got to do.
Absolutely. I mean, they give you the time that you need, and nobody gives me a hard time about overtime or time on a job. And I call for extra material, and they bring it right out, and no questions asked. They get it right away.
Can't beat that. So most of the installs, I meant to ask Jeff this, and if you guys don't know when I say Jeff, that's Jeff JDem HVAC on Instagram. They work for the same company. I know most of you know that, but I figured I would say it just in case. Like most of these installs, like you and Jeff are doing, is that like an 8-hour day? Or I mean,
he's a little quicker than I am. I take a little longer, but that's just how I am. He's the quick one. I do it at my own pace and get it done. And,
no, that's fine. And to be honest, when you look at some of the jobs you guys put up, I'm like, oh man, that's like a 2-3 day job. There's no way they can get that done in like one day just because it is so detailed. But I think it's amazing. And I love when I talk to Jeff, like when you see like the putting, like the LED lights and stuff like that on there. And at first you're like, oh man, like what the fuck's that for? But the more I think about it, I actually love it because most people's houses, the mechanical room is an eyesore. Well, what if you make it so that's not an eyesore anymore? You know what I mean? You make people want to have friends over and be like, hey man, like come look at this shit. You know what I mean? Sure. That's what you want. That means you're doing your job to a high level when something like that happens.
And that's a lot of the business, that we're getting, because there are people that are saying like, come into my house and take a look at this, or our friends called the company because of you and this and that. Like I drove past one of the main strips where our shop was. I had done an install there, and then the house right before it had our lawn sign on. I was like, oh damn, neighbor got us too. So it was pretty cool.
That's pretty sweet. So you guys are probably close to me. So you see well, I know you are. I'm Maryland, so I'm not far from you guys. Mm-hmm. So as far as like the kind of equipment we see is pretty much the same as far as, boilers, heat pumps, gas furnaces, it's kind of, basements. You guys don't have a shit ton of crawl spaces. It's normally in the basement, some 2 systems where it's basement, attic, that kind of deal.
Yep. I mean, I've done a few crawl spaces, but it's nothing like, that I see down south, these guys crawling around. I feel bad for them. I really do.
You guys are mostly metal ductwork too, right? Because you guys can't use ductboard, can you?
I mean, there are a few systems that we run into existing that are, sometimes very old that have ductboard, but, it's all mostly metal.
Yeah, that's what we are. There was one county that let it be, and like they could have it in certain places, but we can't do it anymore. Well, that's like I don't know if you guys can when you do installs, when they used to like pan the bays in to use it for return, and then that's not code anymore. Can you guys still do that there?
I don't think so. I think it all has to be ductwork inside the bay if you want to do it like that.
Yeah, that's what I thought. They changed ours because it's weird. Like outside of Baltimore, we have like there's some counties that are really hard, and then some counties, like that's where all like the shit boxes work, because they have like no codes, there's no permits. So there's some companies that literally work in specific counties just because they know they can get away with those hack jobs. It's crazy. We go run some of those service calls, and it's like, what the fuck is this? Like, they're like, yeah, a friend of a friend did it. I'm like, yeah, it looks like it. Now you're gonna pay me twice to fix it.
That's it. I got to double back now.
Yeah, it's crazy. So how do you so you said you did service. What made you go back to install, and like do you miss service at all, or?
I mean, I did at the beginning when I started in the trade. The company I worked for was mainly service, and I did some installs with him. So it was plumbing service, and then I migrated into HVAC service. But it was, we did an install once in a while, and that's how we ran his company. It was just mainly all service. If we, he serviced it for years and they needed to replace it, then we would do the install. But that's just how it worked. Like I worked with him for 3 years. And then I went to another company for 2. Still did the exact same thing, HVAC and plumbing service. And then, my buddy was the salesman there. He had moved to another company, and he was like, dude, they're looking for a team of installers. So me and my buddy were like all giddy. We're like, yeah, let's go. I was like, let's go install some shit. And we were just, messing around, doing stuff that we already learned on the job. But, it wasn't nearly as clean as it is now in attention to detail. But obviously when you go from service to install, it doesn't work too well. But that's how it went. And everyone's like, oh, you did it backwards. You should have done install first and then service. I'm like, I'm pretty happy with where I am now, because I actually like to install. The service aspect is good for me. I can still run those service calls and do that all day, but it's the driving around that really gets me, because I can just install I leave my house, go to the job, and that's it. My truck is parked there all day, and that's it. And then service is just running around. That's what gets me.
Well, and that's what I tell people, man, is there's no one path in this industry, man. There's no right or wrong. I mean, are some paths proven to like get people in different directions? Like, yeah, but it doesn't. And like, people think like, oh, you got to be installer and then you go to service. No, like, there's so many, like, it doesn't matter whether you're install, service, residential, industrial, commercial. There's so many avenues in this industry that you can do whatever fits you, like it doesn't matter. Like some of our installers, they love it and they don't want to leave. And, one of the benefits that we give our installers is we pay them like peacetime. So, if they get the job's bid for 8 hours, if they get it done in 4 or 5, they still get paid for 8. Granted, there's stipulations. It's got to meet our standards. It can't have any callbacks and all that kind of stuff. And if there is a callback on an install within 6 months, the installer's got to go back to it. So that's part of the, agreement that we have with them. Like, hey, we'll do that. And those guys love it, because I don't want to short somebody for being good at their job. But then if there's a guy that wants to take, all 8 hours to do it, then hey, but by all means. And if the guy takes 10 and it's a hard job, I'm not going to be like, oh, I'm not paying you for 2 hours. That's not the way it works. You know what I mean? But yeah, there is no right or wrong. And I feel like too many people are giving that perception to younger guys coming into the trade, and they feel like, oh, well, I have to do this because this is what I hear. Nah, man, you do whatever the fuck makes you comfortable. Everybody's different. If you're like if you rather be at one place and you don't want to run all over Hell's Creation, then maybe you should do install or do commercial service. That way you're on a roof all day. Industrial service, something like that. There is no right or wrong path. And I feel like we're doing a disservice when we say that to young kids or younger kids getting in.
You can literally write your own script in this trade. Like you can if you get in and you have an interest in something else, go do it. Like nobody's stopping you. If like a lot of people message me on Instagram, like, oh, I'm looking for a new job. I'm looking to, move companies or whatever. I'm like, apply everywhere. The worst they could say is no. And if you don't want to do that, if they're shorting you because you don't have experience, then that ain't the shop for you. Like if you want to do something else and you're not versed in it, go to somewhere that's going to teach you, and then that's the place for you.
And there's good shops out there, you know, and now with social media, it's a little bit easier to find some of those things. But if you work, like you just said, if you're working at a shop or a company that you don't feel valued, you don't feel like, if it doesn't feel 100% right, if you don't love going to work every day, the people you're working with, start looking. Because I promise you, there's a company in your area that you're going to fit in, that's going to have a good culture. They're going to treat their people right. And you're going to be like, man, I'm so happy that I found this place. I love it when we hire people and, you know, some of the team says, I didn't know companies did things like this. Yep. That's what I want. You know, that's what we want. We want to be different. And, you know, and we still have a long way to go. By no means are we perfect. There is no such thing as the perfect company. But, you know, people always say like, oh, you know, customer first, customer first. Well, you know, we're technician first, because let's be honest, without technicians, without your, you know, your techs, your installers, whatever it is, you don't need customers. What are you going to do with all these customers? You don't have any people to run the calls and do the installs, you know? So if you take care of them people, they love coming to work every day. They're paid what they're worth. Guess what? People come to work happy. You know what I mean? They got a smile on their face. And it's really, really that simple. Like, I'm not gonna, like when we hire somebody and I look at their resume and it looks like it's decent and they ask for something that maybe I wouldn't have given them, like $1 per hour, I'll give it to them. I'll say, hey, I'll give you what you're asking for. But after 90 days, if you can't do what you say you do, then this is what we're going down to. And we put it all in writing, because I'm like, hey, if it's not in writing, it doesn't exist. I've been burned in my career, so I don't let that happen to any of our employees. They get an offer letter with everything in there. And there's been a few times where, you know, after 90 days, I'm like, hey, dude, like, you're a good employee. I love having you here, but you can't do what you said you did. So we're going to have to.
You got to go down a little bit. Yep.
Yeah. You know, not saying you can't get back up, and then I'll tell them, but I need you to be able to do A, B, C. As soon as you can get those done, there's no timetable, and you do them to my standards, I'll give you what you're asking for, and we'll get back up. So it's not like smack on the wrist, you suck, I'm taking money away. You know what I mean? But it's good to see people like wanting to excel, because I feel like, you know, and people get mad at me when I say this, but I feel like what we do is not incredibly hard. You just, you know what I mean? Like it's not. If you take the time to learn what we do, you have a little bit of get up and go and morals and values about you. You can be really good at what we do.
Yeah, I agree.
You know,
I've always said that. Yeah. It's just like, because it only, like, you know, Gary McGreedy says it only takes 5 minutes to be a better tech. And it really does. I mean, it might take a lot longer for a few other people, but if you put in the time and actually, you know, care about what you're doing, then you can be better. You can be better than the previous person that was there before you. And you can be better than the person that's going to follow you up. If you make it easier, like so on the install side, I'm always looking to make something easier than it was for me, because I don't care having a hard time. Dude, I've done so many installs. I've done so many shitty installs, shitty accesses. That's what I mean by shitty, not like looking wise, or you know,
Flynn's doing shitty installs.
Damn it, the bad cat's out of the bag. But it's like I'd rather take that upon myself and make it easier for the next person, or think about who's going to service this, because I've recommended service guys to the company I work for, and I'm like, damn, what would this guy do if he came in and be like, I can't get to any of this, I can't take the screws out, I can't get to the access, like, this is terrible. So I always strive to actually make it that much more serviceable, because I've been in that situation where it's 100% not serviceable, and that shit sucks.
Yeah. And I think that's where doing service, or having a little bit of service knowledge and then doing install, really helps, because you're like, oh, well, as a service tech, if I have to come back and work on this, you know, like a boiler, like a purge station would be nice, to be able to get air out of this, or this outdoor unit. Well, if I just turned it this way and made the line set 3 feet longer, this would be so much easier to work on, or it's not sitting in the sun, or, something like that. But also a little common sense,
goes a long way.
Exactly. Goes a long way in the same token. I asked you this, like, how did you get into the trades? Did you have a family member or something, or what got you into HVAC?
So I'm first generation HVAC and plumbing, and both my parents are teachers. So there was no real influence there. I went to high school and they were like, college. You have to go to college. And there was no other mention of like trades or anything. Like I had a few friends that their parents were in the trade, but nothing really clicked. I didn't pay attention to that. But yeah, I went to college. I have a BA in criminal justice. When I graduated, there was a hiring stoppage everywhere. So I did a lot of tests for the state police, and they were like, okay, we'll call you. I'm like, well, shit, I need a job. Like, this is not good. So the first company I worked for, I worked at a pool as a lifeguard. They were patrons there, and they were like, well, our guy needs a driver and a helper. You can go on the interviews that you need. You can take the time off that you need. Just let us know beforehand. And it was just like, okay, well, I'm really getting into this now. I'm a few months in and I really like it. I'm picking it up quick. So let's dump that and let's focus here. So that's where I landed. I'm super happy with the path that I've taken and the path that I actually took to get where I am now. And, wouldn't change it.
That's awesome, dude. I love hearing that. And you have children, a father of 4, and people always say, like, you talk to some people and they're like, oh, like, I love the trades. I think people should go into the trades. It's like, okay, people, would you be okay if your children went into the trades? When you talk to people, they're like, oh, well, I really want mine to go to college. Okay, well, then you're being a hypocrite. You're not okay with the trades. I mean, like me, do I want my kids to go into the trades? Yeah, of course. I don't care. I want them to do what they want to do. Yeah. If it happens to be the trades, then so be it. I don't want them to do something just because dad did it. That's what I don't want. Yeah. Obviously, they'll always have this as a failsafe. I will always give them. That's what my dad did to me. I was a knucklehead. He gave me a gift that I'm able to feed my family. And, HVAC has been good to me. But that's why I'm actually in the process, not to spit it out too early. It's in the infantile processes, but the infantile process. Yeah, I'm going to start doing like some school promotions where I'm trying to get some other people involved to be able to go to some of these high schools and be able to talk to some of these kids about the trades and about like, hey, nobody said going to college is bad, but I want everybody to raise their hand in this room that if you think college is not for you, and you're going to be amazing how many fucking kids put their hands up, Well, hey, did you know that?
Ask the question, do you even know that trade school is an option?
Yeah.
Do
you know how much tradesmen make? Did you know that plumber that came in your house with his butt crack hanging out probably makes $120,000 a year? He probably makes more than half your parents in this room. I just want to have that education for them, because I feel like there's like a lot of the younger kids, the good kids that I've seen come into the industry. These kids are making a killing. Like we literally have a couple. They probably make like $150,000 a year. They make more than their parents. And I've said this a few times, not to, beat a dead horse, but it's just, I love saying it, that we had to give them, we paid for them to take a class and we helped them like financial, because they're like, hey, I make more than my parents. Like, I don't know what to do with this. You know what I mean? So we got them into different things on how to invest their money, like how to properly like put this in your checking account, put this in your savings, put this much in your retirement. Because if you do that when you're 18, 19, those are the kind of guys that are going to retire when they're 40 years old with a couple $1 million in the bank. Like you got to break the cycle. You don't have to work until you're 75 years old and your back's falling apart. Yeah. You just have to be smart when you're young. And trust me, I wasn't smart when I was young. So I'm making up for all that kind of stuff now. So it's nuts. And that's why people always say, like, should I go to trade school? I mean, it won't hurt. I mean, but you don't have to go to trade school, you know? I feel like it used to be for a while there, and I think some companies are still doing it where it's like, you got to have 5 years experience. Well, if all the companies say that, how the fuck are these people going to get 5 years experience? So exactly. I feel like more companies in this day and age are more inclined to you know, it's all about the person. Because if I meet a young person who seems like a good person, good morals, good values, and seems like a good dude, I can teach you this trade.
Yeah.
And most of them turn out being fucking rock stars.
Mm-hmm.
You know?
It's different because, like, that 5 year thing, like, I think that has gone away a lot, you know, within, and companies actually realizing that, hey, we need to, you know, keep getting people into this workforce. So that 5 years work experience is not realistic. And that if you talk to your senior guys and your best guys and you say, hey, you know, we're going to give you an apprentice alongside somebody else alongside this. And, you know, would you be willing to teach them and actually get them up to speed? And I think that goes well beyond the 5 year thing, because, like I said, the kid, I think that's very intimidating too, because if you don't have that experience, what are you going to do? Absolutely nothing. You're going to go apply to all these companies that are looking for 5 years experience, and you're not going to get a job at all. So that's very off-putting, and then they can't do anything. So I think that has gone mostly out the window. I'm sure there are companies that still do that, that's fine. If that works for them, that works for them. They're getting more experienced guys, but, you know, the more experienced guys got to pay more. So I think that the training is key for a lot of everybody, because there, you know, when I first got in the trade, there was nobody wanted to, you know, the guy that I was with, it was like, oh, just go get this in the truck, and, you know, we'll talk about it after. And sometimes we didn't talk about it after. And my boss, when I was with my boss, that's when I learned extremely incredible amount, because I would just watch him work, and I'm like, oh, okay, I got that. You know, I could do it next time. Maybe I need to see it another 2 times, or maybe I need to ask a simple question on how it got to that process. But I'm a visual learner. So if I see it done, then I'm getting it done the next time, or the time after that. So that's how I learn, but everybody's different. And I think that training in the field is really what helps you then sitting down in a classroom, learning theory versus real life situations.
I agree 100%. When my dad got me into this trade, I learned hands-on from those old guys, you know, making mistakes, you know, fucking shit up, making a mistake, you know, making new mistakes. You make a mistake, you learn from it, you keep going. We all do that. You know, I always say, the old heads always told me, the only difference between me and you is I fucked up a lot more stuff than you did, you know?
Yeah, I say that to so many people. It's unreal. Like, I know how to do things effectively and efficiently because I tried so many different ways that have not gone that well. Like, it'll be the same road, but I'm traveling so much longer to get where I'm going. And now I know how to do it more efficiently. So that's the way I'm going to tell you how to do it. That's how it works.
And be that person that gives back to the apprentice. If you're the senior guy, give back to the guys that know less than you. You know what I mean? Like, I loved, you know, and, you know, a couple of guys, and it was never my intention, but when I hear them, they're like, we'll be in like a meeting, and they're like, yeah, man, like, Gil taught me this and Gil taught me that. And I'm like, you know what? That's awesome. You know what I mean? Like, I'm glad that you feel that way about me, because I have those guys. You know what I mean? Let somebody talk about you like that one day. Yeah. Like, hey, man, this guy, Mike, I work with him, man. He taught me so much. Like, I wouldn't be the tech I am today without working with him. you know, or that old guy. Like, give back to those people. Like, don't feel like if you hoard the knowledge, if you hold on to it, like somehow you're going to be better. You're not going to be better. You know,
and if you're working with someone, it just makes the job easier.
Exactly.
Like, oh, you can go do this while I'll do this, and we get out of here. Like, it doesn't make any sense to keep it all in here. Just let it out. Tell it to the world.
Yeah, and I want helpers. You know, I used to want the ones that ask questions, because I used to tell them, I'm like, hey, I'll teach you anything you want to know. You know, if you ask me something I don't know, then fuck it, we'll learn it together. The same way I am on the podcast. But, you know, the ones that would watch but didn't ask questions, I'd be like, all right, well, hey, I just put that outdoor unit in and you didn't ask any questions. You know, can you do the next one? And if they're like, no, well, I didn't hear you, you know, well, what don't you understand? Like, don't be afraid to ask me questions, man. If I'm doing something, hey, how does that work? Or why'd you do it this way? Just shoot it off. I'll answer them. You know what I mean? If I'm in the middle of something, I'll say, give me a second, I'll finish, and then I'll explain it to you. But I want you to ask questions. That's fine.
For sure. Yeah, absolutely. And it clears the air, because nobody is actually wondering that, like, okay, so next time you saw me do this, now next time I'm going to send you and throw you to the wolves, but I'm going to come outside and get pissed because you messed something up. So it's like, well, you didn't ask me those questions and you saw me do it yesterday. Like, what's the deal? So I think and especially and I've said this before, you don't know what kind of learner the person you're with is. So you have to get that out of the way first of all. Like, okay, so I can watch you do something and I can do it the next time, or I need to watch you. I need to ask questions during, and then I'll get it next time, or I'll watch the whole thing, ask all my questions after, and then we can do it. So you gotta, I think, figure that out, and it becomes a better dynamic as well, that you know where you stand with the person you work with, as far as what kind of learner they are.
Yeah. You know, and I get it that in our industry, it's a lot of prideful men and women. You know, you have that pride about yourself, and that's fine. That's what sets us apart and makes us a little bit different. But don't let it get to a point where it hurts you. You know, like, in the meetings, like, we have technical meetings, communication meetings. Like, I do them every week. And I tell some guys, like, something as basic as the refrigeration cycle. If you've been doing it, you know, 8 years, 10 years, should you know it inside and out? Yes. But if you don't, now's as good a time as ever to say, hey, I know it, but I would like to know it
over it again.
Exactly, a little bit better. Because I tell our guys, you know, writing the refrigeration cycle on the board and being able to actually know it are two different things. So I want them to be able to draw it and explain it. And then I'm going to say, hey, the refrigerant is here. What is it doing?
What is it doing? Yep.
You know, and it seems stupid, but then when they're in the field, they're like, Gil, by doing that, they're like, I knew exactly what was going on when I came out here. You know, They know when they call me with a problem. You know, I say, hey, I'll help you with anything, but don't start giving me half of equations, expect me to give out answers. You know, like, I need pressure, saturation temperature, superheat, subcooling. Like, give me all the information.
Amperage, what are you doing? What's your microphone? Everything. All the information. I don't need, because if you only give me one sentence of what's going on, I'm going to tell you to read the manual.
Yeah. And you should read the manual anyway, especially when it comes to install. Yeah. How many questions have people had, like the company that I used to, when I came up in management, if they would ever call me about install, or they'd call the owner, he would say, did you read the installation manual? No. He's like, well, read that. If you can't find the answer, call me back. They'd never call back. Yeah. Yep. It's like, it's not an e-pad. That's actually there for something. And it's amazing what you would learn in that. And not to cycle back, but these younger kids, like, if you have a little get up and go, like, you can really make a good living in this trade. Like, you really can, you know? There's probably more guys making $100,000+ than, you know, you'd be surprised. And not everybody gets there. It all depends on what you're doing. But, you know, it's also, I feel like a lot of people, like, they need to realize how important we are. You know, yeah, we don't wear lab coats. We don't sit in front of a judge. We're not surgeons. We don't have badges. But if COVID during the pandemic didn't help you realize how important we are to this world, to this country, then I don't know what does. You should be proud of what you do. I am proud to say that I'm a tradesman. I'm blue collar. I'm an HVAC guy. Like, I'm proud. I wear that with a badge of honor. And I think we all should, you know?
Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah. There's not like when I first started, there was like that short window of time that I was like, yeah, I kind of do plumbing and HVAC. They're like, oh, you work with shit pipes? I'm like, yeah, but you know, it's getting me by right now. I got a job. And then now I'm just like blue collar HVAC, you know, let's go, you know, repping everything, super prideful of what I do. And, you know, I really tell everybody that, you know, it's super rewarding in the aspect of actually helping people and super rewarding in getting to create your own art, because that's really what we do. Because it's, you know, the installation manual says the certain guidelines, right? But it doesn't tell you how to make, you know, things flashy and look real nice. And, you know, the manufacturer specs are, you know, just bare minimum. So you can go above and beyond.
Yeah. And that's why I love what you guys do. And when you put your work out there, and for any of you out there, if you're not on Instagram and you don't follow Mike FlynnStone, you definitely should, because him, you know, Jeff JDM HVAC, Jamie Northwest HVAC. There's a whole bunch of them, guys that are out there. They're putting their work out there. It's not like some of the Facebook crusaders who comment on everything but never show their work. These guys show everything they do, how they're doing it, the little nuances. Like, it's pretty awesome. And you look at that and you're like, well, fuck, my installs don't look like that, you know? And that's when if you actually give a shit about what you do, it makes you lay your head on the pillow and be like, well, fuck, I gotta be better, you know? And that's what you should think, you know, because like you just said, their installs, like, there's just getting it done and it looks good. And there's horrible installs. People have no pride. They're just trying to get money and they throw the shit together. Then there's people that are like, I'm putting my name on this. And there's one company I talked to a while back where their installers actually had where, like, they put some sticker on and then they would actually sign it. Yeah. And I thought that was awesome, because it was like, hey, I want to sign my masterpiece. And that's the way you should be. You're leaving that, because I know people get negative when you go in and see an other company and it's like, oh, you want to pick it apart. But if I go in, when I went into a service call, or even now, if I go into a sales call, the ones that I still do, and, you know, the system's a little bit older, but it was a good install, I'll tell the homeowner, like, man, whoever put this in, like, they knew what they were doing, because this is a really good install. That's the reason you got, you know, 20 years out of this, because this thing looks awesome. You know, give credit to those people. Let me ask you this. What made you, you know, not to backtrack, I know we got on that for a while, because we're already almost at, you know, we're like 50 something minutes. What made you start putting your work on Instagram? Like, what happened in your head where you're like, you know what, I'm going to start filming my shit and put it on Instagram?
So, I mean, it was just, I was doing it here and there because I was all over the place on Instagram. Like, I had one from way back when, like, it was first a thing, and, you know, pick some, you know, what I was doing daily, food, gym, dog, and work here and there. And then I just started posting more work, and I was getting feedback on it, and, you know, good feedback, constructive criticism, everything. And I was like, damn, this might be a thing. So I was like, okay, let's start doing this every day. I can mix the life in as well, but you know, we're going to focus more on work and what's going on. And it was just like, yes, that's awesome. You know, the boilers came in, the boilers, and the HVAC and everything. I think it just grew out of there. It was, you know, a positive place to, you know, interact with people in the community that were first starting off, like Howard Mechanical, Alex, HVAC reefer guy, Aaron Bond, Mechanical Hub, all the guys that were first on there years and years ago. And it was just like, okay, seeing those guys work, I'm like, damn, I need to step my game up like hard. Like I saw one of Alex's jobs, that the ductwork, it was like textbook showroom install. I was like, is that in someone's house? Like, what the hell is that? I was like, no way. And I messaged him and he was like, yeah, dude, this is in someone's house. And I was like, oh, dude, I got to do something about this. So it was just like instant light bulb click, like, let's go. Top fire, we got to step it up.
And I love seeing people proud to show their work. And, even if you see something, even if somebody does something and it's like, they're proud of it, but like they could have done a few things better. And the way you come across, like, hey man, job looks fucking awesome. Like, hey, have you ever tried like doing this? Like, have you ever tried using Strut, Unistrut, or, doing this, like in a way that you're trying to help somebody and not shitting on them. That's why I kind of like, I don't know why Facebook got that way. And I feel like some of the other platforms aren't that way. At least for Instagram, it hasn't been that way because you have to choose to follow somebody. And it stinks because,
but you still get those non-followers that are still hating, but it is what it is. Like, you cannot please everybody. You can't do it. So what somebody is is putting out, that doesn't mean that everybody's going to like it, because then I would have 3 million posts or 3 million likes on all of my boiler installs, but it's not. And that's how it is. So you have to realize that, number one, you can't please everybody. And number two, if you really break down someone's negative comment, then you're like, damn, like I could have done that and I probably should have, but here was my circumstance why, and why I didn't do it or why I did it this way. And, you take that into consideration. I said something like, before all this social media, it was you learning from someone or a couple people in your company, and that's it. Now, and like taking it and having it be your own. Now there are thousands of people in the HVAC community, and you can learn from each and every single one of them. It's insane. Like you can make the artistry, and because we consume so much content that it's like, oh damn, I saw this person do this and this person do this. Let me mesh this into my own and make it something that I can do later on or in another install. And it's amazing.
Yep. That's why I say at the end of every show, if you don't know something, it's because you don't want to know. Because there's something that you're like, man, I wish I could be better at this. There is every resource available to you to be able to get better at it. So you can't use that excuse, oh, well, I didn't know. Well, then you didn't want to know, man. I'm not trying to be a dick, but you didn't want to know. Like when I started podcasting, I didn't know dick about audio and microphones. I was a fucking HVAC guy. I wasn't a disc jockey. I taught myself how to edit, how to do all this stuff by watching fucking YouTube videos, different online courses and stuff like that. So you can literally learn to fucking do anything nowadays. And our trade is no different. I do think you got to be careful when it comes to YouTube because
there's good and bad, 100%.
Exactly. You gotta be careful of what people are putting out there. If they're doing service calls in Crocs, I don't know if I would really listen to what they're saying. But anyway, that wasn't a jab. That was just a generality. Let me ask you this, man. I won't keep you long. We're almost at an hour, so I know you worked all day, man. So for you, the next 10, 15 years, like what is Flynn's, end game? Like where do you see yourself going into management, just doing installs? Like what do you see yourself doing down the road?
I mean, physically, I'm gonna try and install as long as I possibly can because the boiler game will always call me back 100%. I can kind of do without. If someone was like, okay, you can only do boilers for the rest of your career, I'm like, okay, I'm cool with that. The ductwork stuff and the HVAC is, forced air is all cool. But I really, really love the boilers. So if, when that starts to die down, or when, I've piped, my last boiler, I'll probably do some sort of management, try and, start a program up, or like you said before, try and teach, boilers and HVAC, and maybe just become a trade school teacher, who knows, or start my own program, or it's endless possibilities. But yeah, I'm getting older, and, installing all these years really takes a toll. So it'll definitely be a step out of the field and more into, theory and management and that kind of stuff.
Well, that's why I ask. And that's the only downside about doing installs for so long, is it takes a toll on your body. Well, this industry in general takes a toll on your body, but installs every day, day in and out, it's a little bit different, like humping things up in attics and stuff like that. I mean, you got to be physically fit, but I mean, no matter how physically fit you are, it's still gonna, your back eventually is going to feel it, as you start to age. I mean, I know it's almost 40, and I know there's some older guys in here than me, but, I feel things now that I didn't feel 10 years ago, so sure. I know it's only going to get worse as I progress. The other thing is, I asked, like, what makes you love the hydronics? What makes you love the boiler side,
I think it's just the freedom of the piping schematic. So if you take a look at, and if you scroll through my boiler installs, none of them really look the same. And that's the best part of it, because nothing is cookie cutter, because every house is different. But the standard basics are there, but everything is different. So I get to, move some stuff around, see what I could figure out, how much space do I have on the wall, how much, room do I have in this closet. There's all type of hurdles and stuff like that, where I just see, I walk into the job and I don't even see the old equipment. I see the new equipment installed already. And that's, what gets me every single time. Really just piping everything, and the REMS Curvo just made boilers that much more exciting, because I get to bend everything. So it's sweet.
That's pretty awesome, man. I see those tools, man. And it's funny you say that, because that was why I was never really like an everyday installer, but I used to be able to design them on some jobs, like, and that was what I loved, because you could literally put in the same exact boiler every job. But like you said, one is not the same. The piping's different. The water feed comes over here. Oh, this has got 2 zones. This has got, 3 zones and a circulator that just circulates. You know what I mean? Like, there's always something different. And that's what I loved about it. I remember when I got pushed to design my first one for a big house, and there was nothing there. We were installing it. And the owner was like, "You think you can do it?" And I said yes, but I was shitting my pants, because I was like, I don't know if I could do this. But that's what I started to develop. I was picturing, I'm like, okay, like I would put tape on the ground. I'm like, all right, well, the boiler's going to be here. All right. Like, I was trying to think like, all right, the water, this, and this. And when that job turned out, that's probably one of the most proud jobs I've ever been of, because there was nothing there, and I doubted myself. I really didn't think I could do it. And then when it turned out, I was like, and obviously you had a few twists that was like, oh, I couldn't do it this, I had to do this way. But I got done, like, I was walking around like I was swinging a big old ding-a-ling. I was like, man, this thing looks great.
That's cool.
Yeah, but it was really, really, really awesome. And that's one thing that I did love about install. Yeah, man. So we're almost at an hour. I guess we'll close this thing out real fast. So you are going to be at AHR, correct?
Yes, I'll be at HVAC Tactical Awards. I will be at AHR. Yeah. I think it's an every year thing now. So
nice. Yeah. I will definitely be there as well. And now we can get to hang out and chill, man. Like, I know, like, I met some of you guys last time, but it was like, didn't really know each other, and I didn't want to, hey, I'm Gil from Uncensored. How are you? You know what I mean? So definitely get to chill this year. And the Tactical Awards is awesome. Funny now to just kind of spin off on that, the HVAC Tactical Awards show real fast is, if you did not see the Instagram that our friend Ben Poole, HVAC Tactical, put out today, you do not have to be invited to go to the HVAC Tactical Awards show. It is for everybody. Ben and they built this for blue collar tradesmen. It's built for you guys. If you want to go, you have to go to HVACtactical.com and RSVP for how many tickets, that way you'll get them before they come. Anybody can do it. You don't have to have a certain amount of followers. It's nothing like that. If you have somebody that you want to nominate for an award, go to HVACtactical.com and then you can nominate somebody there. You don't have to be on Instagram. I mean, it can be any platform. It doesn't matter.
Anywhere.
So yeah, so go do that, and winning one of those awards it's cool. And if you can't go, watch it.
Even if you're thinking about going, go RSVP, because it helps them get a roundabout number of where they stand with the venue. So if you're thinking about going and you haven't made any plans yet, go RSVP, because you don't have to buy a ticket when the time comes. So just RSVP now so they know.
Yeah, and like he said, when you RSVP, you're not buying anything. You're just saying, hey, I want 2 tickets. I want 1 ticket. I might actually hit up Ben and I might buy a couple extra tickets and I might try to give them away. The only thing I'm worried about is if I give them away to people, I want to make sure they actually go.
Sure they're going.
That's the only thing. And AHR, it's in Atlanta this year. If you have never been to an AHR Expo, I highly recommend that you go. They are so much fun. They are so big. There's so many things there to see. Like, you really can't see everything in 3 days. Worst case scenario, you go there, you'll get enough T-shirts and free stuff to make it worth it. You really will.
Swagged out, yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So you get to, like, I love going, like I say, like, yeah, I get to do the podcast pavilion and I podcast there, but I'll be honest, I could take it or leave that. I really could. It's fun. I love doing it, but I love meeting everybody, man. It is, the relationships I've built, meeting different guys, being able to actually hang out with you guys this time, my friends that I've made, like Tersh Blishett from the Service Business Mastery podcast became one of my good friends. Chris, Stevens, HVACR videos, like being able to hang out with these guys once or twice a year, like that's what's so fucking cool. Awesome. You know what I mean? It's pretty cool. I can't believe the podcast pavilion is, but Pat Finley from Commercial Kitchen Chronicles, the pavilion, the podcast pavilion. I tried to get him in, and it's booked out already. Like it's funny. Like, I remember when we first started doing that, and there really wasn't that many people, and now there's so many people that have hopped on that it's hard, but
I want to be it.
Yeah.
Live from AHR.
Yeah. I got you though, buddy. Like I said, if I have to give you some of my time slots, man, I'll make sure that you podcast live from there. Don't worry. And I'll get you in touch with the right people to move forward. Yeah, man, it's a Lifter 9. I won't keep you any longer. I know you did installs today. I won't, keep you here all night. Thanks for coming on, man. I appreciate you. Thank you for what you do by putting your work up there and, showing people the right way to do things. I think it's awesome. I'm happy to be able to finally get to know some of the Instagram, people that have been on there, because the fact that I said I really wasn't huge on there. So I think it's awesome to be able to start to bring some of you guys on and just hear your stories and, your why you do things and stuff like that. It's pretty fucking awesome.
Yeah. No, it's very cool to be able to share, everything, and it really helps because I get messages like, "Oh, I'm starting a job in 2 weeks. You help me out with this and this, that." Those kind of messages really make it worthwhile that you're actually impacting someone else's career with what you're doing. So it makes it all worth it. It really does.
Yeah, I feel you, man. Like, yeah, the podcast makes money now, but those emails when people are like, "Hey, Gil, I did what you said and I got a promotion," or "I did this and it worked," like nice. That's my payoff. And I know it sounds corny and cliche, but it is. That's why I do this.
Not at all, yeah.
It really is like giving back to a trade that's been good to me. It's cool to give back by just doing the right thing.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean? So Anybody, real fast, we'll close this out. Do any of you have any questions for Mr. Flynn here? Make sure that you go over to Instagram and follow at FlynnStone.
FlynnStone 1.
FlynnStone 1, that's right. I'm sorry,
Yep.
at FlynnStone 1. Make sure that you, you follow him, and you'll see what we've been talking about, the work that he puts up, and, just to start to join that community and all that kind of stuff. Yep, that should be it. All right, brother. Well, I appreciate you, man. Thank you so much for coming on. I can't wait to meet you guys in person, and keep kicking ass on Instagram, my friend.
Thanks for having me. Appreciate it, man.
Of course, my man. All right, guys, let me close this thing out real fast. Oh, man, it's awesome. And it really is, like I said, dude, I love meeting, these guys on Instagram. I'm so glad that I've been able to go on there and really meet a whole new world of, amazing fucking, guys and girls out there really doing some awesome things. So go follow all these guys on Instagram. I know if you're on Instagram, you should, most people know who these guys are for what they're doing, as you should know. At FlynnStone 1, Jeff JDem HVAC, Jamie Northwest HVAC. You got what? Mechanical Hub. There's a whole bunch of them. I probably should have asked, FlynnStone before he went off, but there's a whole bunch of them. And once you start following a couple of them, you'll start seeing the other ones pop up. There's so many good tradesmen and women that are on there. And I even follow the plumbers and the electricians because they're all tradesmen. I like to follow all of them and give them support because they're really doing some fucking amazing stuff out there. Any questions when it comes to AHR and stuff like that, the HVAC Tactical Award Show, please feel free to hit me up. I'd be more than happy to answer any questions. If you can go, definitely go. It's a fucking amazing time. Last year was bonkers. It was such a good time, and it's only going to keep getting bigger and better every year. AHR is always awesome. I will always be there. Another one, I will be at the Women in HVACR event this November, so I will be there as well. I don't know if anybody's going to that, but I'll be at that. I think that's it, man. As always, follow all the social media sites for the podcast so you stay up to date. We'll start doing random giveaways on some of the episodes, but you have to be here to win, okay? That's just the way it's got to be. I want to give things to the people that show up every week, take the time to support the podcast. I'm not doing that. You comment, and then I go back because then you just get random people who only comment because there's giveaways. That's not what I'm doing. I want people who actually like the content we put out and actually support the show. Those are the ones that I want to be able to give these amazing prizes back to. Thank you to my moderators. I appreciate you guys. Thank you so much for the guys and girls that are in here every week supporting the show. I really do appreciate you guys. You know that. So nothing but love for you. Guys, it's a community, man. So any of these other people in here that you see, Pat Commercial Kitchen Chronicles, go follow his channel. Anybody on here has a YouTube channel, a podcast, an Instagram, a Facebook, follow them, man. We're a community. We're a brotherhood. We're a family. Well, and sisterhood. I guess I can't say that. Follow each other, man. Support each other. You know what I mean? That's what we can do if we really want to help give back to the trade. All right. Guys, remember, stay safe out there. Do the little, stay safe out there. It's crazy. We all got to make it home to somebody. It's a crazy world. Please, please be safe. I almost chopped my finger off this weekend. That's a whole nother story. Guys, do the little things, man. Like I was talking about earlier, set yourself apart from the next guy or girl. Always try to be the best version of you. Keep getting better. Keep excelling. Nobody's going to knock on your door and give you what the fuck you want. You go out and fucking get it. And HVAC is one of the perfect fucking vessels to be able to get it. This trade is going to give you what you put into it. You put in a little bit, you get a little out. You put in a lot, you get a lot out. It's really that simple. All right. So if I can ever help you guys in any way, you guys know I'm not a know-it-all, but I will help you in any way that I possibly can. If I don't know the answer to something that you're asking me, I will put you in touch with somebody who does. I also will be dropping in the next few weeks. I'm going to be doing a Patreon thing, and I'm only doing this because a lot of people reach out to me and want to talk to me on a personal level, and that's fine. I would love to do that. But I want to make sure it's people who really want the help. So I'm going to have different levels, group sessions, one-on-one sessions, all that kind of stuff. So I'll make sure I share it for the Patreon stuff, and they're all going to be a couple of bucks. I'm not doing it for the money. I just want people to have a little bit of skin in the game so that I'm not taking time away from my family to deal with some stupid stuff. But if that helps anybody and I can help you, by all means, let's rock and roll. Remember, I can't think of who the guest is off the top of my head, but right back here Wednesday, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time for the regularly scheduled show. And yeah, let's rock and roll. Hope everybody had a great Monday. And until Wednesday, I will talk with you mofos later. All right? Peace.
Thanks for listening to the HVAC Uncensored podcast. Don't forget to check us out on Facebook and Instagram, or email us anytime at hvacuncensored@gmail.com. Now, get back to work. Shut this down. The views and opinions shared on the HVAC Uncensored podcast may not necessarily be the views and opinions of our sponsors or guests.
The show is over. Please leave the studio. It is time to go. I hope you guys have a great night. Go fuck yourself. Goodbye.